And
Hi
sorry.
everyone, it's Susan Walsh, the classification guru, back at Alteryx Inspire. We're almost at the end of day one, and I'm here with two lovely gents from Capitalise. We've met before, we spoke last year. How's
We
this
have.
year been for you so far?
Fantastic. I think the vibe is great. The product seems like it's on the right roadmap. Clients seem excited. Yeah,
Cool.
I think it's fabulous.
And you're Eric.
I'm Eric. I'm Eric
Tell us
Soden.
a
That's
little bit
right.
about yourself.
So managing partner, one of the founders, started the company 13 and a half years ago, and yeah, it's been great. We've been Alteryx Partner of the Year for I think 8 years running, and it's been a blast.
Fantastic. Why don't you tell us a little bit?
Yeah, hello, my name's Travis. I started my career, I'm a CPA by trade, so I started my career at PwC, did about 5 years in advisory services, picked up some of the technology pieces, Alteryx being a main technology that I picked up. Really found that I enjoyed the technology, automation, analytics side a little bit more than the management consulting, PowerPoint decks, all very important and strategic and very valuable, but really like getting into the weeds a little bit more. So I joined up with Eric, and it's been really fun, really engaging. Love being tip of the spear with our clients, and I'll echo some of the points on the product. Ton of buzz this year around the AI capabilities, and really excited to see how my customers and clients are taking advantage. And yeah, it's all great. It's been fun.
Fantastic, thank you. So, when a potential customer approaches you first at Capitalise, what's your process for discovering where Alteryx and/or AI could make the biggest difference, and how do you know where to start?
Yeah, I think especially right now with as much craziness as with AI and all the different Claude's dropping something every 15 minutes that people have to try to figure out where to use it. I think the biggest thing is focusing on processes that need drastic improvement that would make major change to your organization.
Okay, and
And
do you see common kind of questions, issues, traits amongst those people?
I think if you've got a multi-step process that requires humans, that's manual and slow, and you wish
So,
was faster,
yeah, pretty much most organizations then.
I haven't found one that doesn't have issues that we could fix.
Same. How about you?
Yeah, I think we call them jumpstart assessments, right? A rapid, quick ideation, sit down with the different departments, really start to talk through what are you happy about in your organization? What processes do you love? What are you not so happy about? What do you wish could be better? And I think that's a great place where Alteryx fits in. It's a middleware tool, so very rarely is there a Alteryx only type solution. So I think sitting down, stepping away, being at a tech conference, hard to do, right? We love the tech, but sitting down and just trying to understand like what makes our clients tick, what do they enjoy, what do they, pull their hair out, so to speak, right? Try to understand, map it out, and start to prioritize what's meaningful versus what's just a little fluffy.
Thank you. And if a company's just starting out and wants to build a pipeline of Alteryx and AI in terms of use cases, what would your advice be for prioritizing what to do first? Is it quick wins, or is it going after the biggest strategic impact?
I love quick wins because it keeps people smiling.
Me too.
It's you can find them a little more easily. You can test things out a little more easily. You can get it to production a little more easily. And like I said, then people can go and cheers at happy hour and say like, we did it. And then you also get to see where the rough edges are on your process, on governance, on how you move it through. You get to hit small IT barriers and legal barriers instead of big IT barriers and big legal barriers. So I think in general, the smaller you start, you get wins. They have to be wins with ROI. I think that would be a mistake. Like automating something you do once a year that takes 2 hours is not a great place to start. But it might be a 2 hour once a week thing, and you can knock that out in like a week or something, and that will run, ideally forever, and everyone's excited and everyone's smiling because once a week they don't have to do that crappy thing anymore, and then you can build a backlog. It also gets people's creative juices flowing. You start having light bulbs go off. It's like, oh, well, if we could do that, I bet you we could do this and this and this and this. And ideally, you keep that backlog building. You keep that ROI use cases building. People know what the process looks like in order to automate something, and you start just ticking those things off. And to me, digital transformation is more of a chipping away at the iceberg than it is trying to like melt it all at once.
I'm so with you. I'm always saying about cleaning data, like do it small and often.
Yeah.
Like sit with a coffee in the morning, 30 minutes every other day, and then you don't even notice that you've made an impact.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll echo a lot of those points. I think one of the interesting things with the quick wins is it buys you credibility and time to work on the larger initiatives.
Yeah.
And one thing that every client in every department, they're always going to say is, if only I had better data. And I think that combining those small incremental gains really allows you to say, hey, look what I did with this limited amount of resources, time, energy, and manpower. If we can multiply this out to our larger data strategy, and along the way, to Eric's point, you're getting incremental knowledge and gains. You're being able to communicate more effectively cross functionally. And I think that combination of accomplish what you can in the here and now while you're planning for larger, more strategic initiatives, that's really where I think most organizations find the best of both worlds.
Becomes culture, it becomes muscle memory, people, right? And people start looking
Yeah.
for it, thinking that way, and that's the people side, and the process side is as much as the change, maybe
Oh,
more of the change than
yeah.
the technology side.
Oh, you make it so that you don't even notice you're doing it, right? It's
Yeah,
routine.
that's it. It just becomes muscle memory.
Yeah. But what about the balance between the pressure for the quick wins and then the more strategic tasks? I mean, organizations still struggle with this fragmented data, inconsistent governance, manual processes, which personally I'm thankful for because it keeps me in business. Um, but where does Alteryx fit in helping teams mature without slowing down that innovation?
I think Travis touched on this a little bit. You have to have a tactical strategy, and you have to have like a larger long-term strategy. The other thing I think you can do is you don't want to do too much duct tape and baling twine to the point where now you have a different big mess on your hands. So quick wins are fun, and they're good to get the momentum up, to get people excited. But I do think you have to have a strategy. You have to be thinking longer term as well. And if you start to cluster your use cases together, and you see you have a large tax problem or accounting problem or what, like something where the data cannot sustain this long term, then you have to probably do some data cleanup and some data strategy and some data architecture and some data engineering, as unfun as that sounds, because that's the foundation of whether it's Alteryx or AI or Power BI or whatever you're
Yeah.
going to put on top of it. It's going to require that same domain over and over and over.
Yeah.
So if you fix that once, then your foundation's strong and you can build anything you want on top of
Yeah.
it. Quick wins are great to get your feet wet, to get the culture, to get the excitement, but you do have to make sure you're not doing things so short-sighted that in the long term you're in a worse place. And I think that's where some advisory, if you haven't done this before, like you might want someone who's done it before. Just like
Yeah.
getting into plumbing, if you've never done plumbing, getting into woodworking, you've never done woodworking, it's going to be
Yeah.
hard.
I always say I've got breadth. People in organizations have depth
Sure.
because they only have
Yeah.
one lens.
That's
but
right.
like we've seen lots of different industries, different problems. So we're
Right.
looking for things that they might not even have anticipated yet.
Yeah, and we have depth in a whole different domain, right? Like you have deep depth in data cleanup. We have deep depth in data engineering and data architecture and requirements and design, and in some cases, like depending upon, like Travis is a CPA, and specifically in accounting and tax and audit. So you want to build the right team. If you can build the right team internally, build it internally. That's great. But if you can't build it internally, you should find somebody who can help you, because you will be so much faster that way.
One more thing. So I don't know. I see this a lot. There's historical systems and then new systems plonked on top and then another one on top, and then we've got rules upon rules upon rules upon
Sure.
rules, and these two rules cancel these ones out, and then they've done a rule here to fix these two. But actually, if you just removed the original one or started again, you'd probably have a really clean system.
I think there's a show called Hoarders.
Yeah.
That's about that. Yeah, where you just keep putting more stuff on top of your old stuff. Yeah, it's not good.
I like that.
It's not good.
So, how about walking us through a real world example that you have lived through and experienced and has helped your clients, with something unexpected or surprising that's involved, Alteryx and AI and has delivered some significant ROI. And actually, I might even ask, like, how do you quantify the ROI as well?
You want to take that?
Yeah, I'll do one use case. So, being a CPA, I think one of the interesting things is how do you balance an LLM or any machine learning or something that is not deterministic in nature when in accounting there's a right answer, right? You have to close the books to report to the street or to your bank or to any debt or creditors, right? And so I always find those AI plus deterministic use cases very interesting for our customers. One of which is, think about like ASC 606 revenue recognition. There's a whole bunch of rules on timing and when you can recognize revenue. And one of the things that impacts a lot of my customers is how contracts are written, how what entitlements they're given over what time. And most organizations keep templates, right? You have a standard contract, and when it's these terms, the simplest of which is I have a 12-month contract that I incrementally attach the value to over the 12 months. So I'm going to flatline recognize that revenue over 12 months. But what if for a sales incentive, you are backdating and you're bringing on some of the products later into the life cycle of that contract? Well, then that's a little bit more complicated because you're not recognizing that revenue, again, according to 606, because that's not when it's being consumed. So all of those, special contracts or modifications, somebody needs to read the standard contracts and the non-standard contracts. So one of the things that we found really valuable and interesting is taking a first pass, right? Is this a standard contract? Deterministic. I know what our standard terms are, and I can just match that up word for word as that standard terms. If not, kick it down an exception process where we go ask an AI, hey, was this written slightly different, or does this impact 606? And again, you're not having the LLM say what the impact is. You're assessing, should this be reviewed? So you've eliminated 95% of contracts that need to be reviewed by a RevOps team or by a legal team, by an accounting function, right off the bat of just saying this is standard terms. And where we can take it now, as good as these LLMs are, especially as you start thinking about Gemini, Claude, they have so much contextual data around contract terms. It can start to make recommendations of, we think that it's this and this is why. So those are some of the use cases that I find particularly interesting in the AI space, is really getting it in the hands of publicly traded companies that maybe historically have shied away even from really complex automation. Now being able to delve into the AI space is really fun.
And I just, one of the things with AI specifically, there's no real orchestration. There's no good orchestration layer. And when you look at Alteryx, if step one is go pull some files or go pull some data, you don't need AI to go pull some data or pull some files. Alteryx do that just fine. Then if those files need to be read and somebody needs to think about every one of those, like invoices, well, that's a great spot for AI because it's got computer vision. You can look at the invoice and do what you need. And then what's the next step after that? Oh, I need to filter some things out. I need to bounce it against a PO or whatever I need to do. And then I need to put it into the system. When you break that process out, some of that requires AI, but not all of it. But you're going to need to do the non-AI stuff with something, and then the AI stuff with something else, and then pass it again to something else. And the beauty of all you have to do is pull up any Alteryx workflow, and you pretty much see that exact orchestration. You can see all the little tools. Some of those tools can be AI, and some of them, a lot of them don't need to be. And so once you figure out what your process is, I think understanding the process. He's talking about a RevRec one, but it doesn't matter if it's a tax process, a marketing process, an accounting process, whatever. If you fully can diagram your process out and it requires data from systems and then decisions to be made and things to be flagged, then you can, once you have it built out and everybody looks at it and says, that's the process. Do we agree that that's the process? Do we agree we have the data for the process? Do we agree that data is clean? Once we agree on all that, then it's like, okay, do we agree on the rules and the steps? Yes. Okay, great. And then, well, this one's tough because I have to look at this PDF every time. Okay, well, what if we had AI look at it? Well, okay, yeah, that'd be cool, but it has to be 99.999% accurate. Okay, well, what if it's not? Well, then email Susan. Oh, okay, well, then we put a little note in that says if it's not 99.9, filter it out, send it to Susan. Yeah. And so the beauty is all these processes are 50, 60, 100 steps. The idea that you're going to single prompt that many steps is insane. So you need something to orchestrate the 50, 60, or 100 steps, and Alteryx is great at that. RPA can be great at that. There's a lot of ways to do it, but this idea that you're just going to have Claude Cowork or Claude Code and you're going to vibe code this whole thing and be able to support it and maintain it and agree on it is ludicrous.
It's right tool for the right job.
That's
right?
it. That's it. You open up a toolbox, there's not one tool in there.
Yeah. So apart from calling you guys, what would you recommend as a first step for getting into Alteryx and starting with it?
I'll take this one.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good opinion. I've got a pretty
love
strong
it.
opinion
Yeah,
on
good.
this one.
Have one.
Go talk to your peers, right? There's 8,500 customers. Don't quote me on that, but maybe it's 83, 85. And that's organizations. There's, we saw today there's 600,000 community members. That's a lot of people. In today's day and age, right, of technology, we're more connected than ever. We have LinkedIn. If you're a analytics leader, you're a technology leader, you're a finance operation leader, you have peers in your network that have done similar things. Reach out, ask, have a conversation, talk about what you're working with from somebody that you see and that you respect functionally. And I think that's one of the things that Eric and Capitalize have really enforced throughout our organization is our job is to help our customers so that when a potential prospect wants to work with us, we've got references, right? We can bring them and say, hey, this exact project that you're trying to do, not only have we done it, it's successful, talk to our customer, they'll tell you what they think, lessons learned. And I think one of our big focuses, and I'll do a little plug, we do webinars all the time.
Oh,
We
perfect.
bring on our customers and we give them 15 minutes on a quick webinar of just talk through every branch that you hit, even with us who have done the same project hundreds and hundreds of times, so that your peers won't hit the same branches. So
Perfect.
even if you don't go out to a consulting firm, like go to your network, ask them what works, what doesn't,
And
start there.
every consulting firm has resources online. We have dozens of we have webinars dedicated to Alteryx plus Gen AI use cases. That, like, if you go to our webinars page, that's one of the first two on there. There's one Office of Finance Blueprint that Travis did pretty recently that walks you through all the different use cases that you might find. So I think there's so much now. You could go to the LLMs and say, hey, I'm in this particular function. I'm thinking about using Alteryx. Why might I do that, or why wouldn't I? So I don't know. If you can't figure out when and where to potentially use it, I think that's on you probably at this point. But you do need to know it exists, and I do think you need to do some due diligence. And then in the end, you can go to Home Depot and buy all the tools, but if you don't have a reason to use them, it's stupid to have them. So figure out what you're trying to do. If you're going to go to Home Depot, make sure you get the list that you need for that project, and go buy those tools. Same thing with data.
Yeah, guys, that is super great advice, I would say. If people want to find out more about Capitalize, can they get in touch with you? Is it website?
Absolutely. Yeah, capitalizeconsulting.com. You can Google us. You can probably use an LLM to find us.
I'll also put a link in the comments.
Yeah, and you can, Eric Soden and Travis Haworth, and we'd be happy to help you.
Gents, thanks so much. Thanks very much, everyone.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.